Crammed in tight like refugees, sprouting on my spite in the effigies of Joe and the rest of these feckless molesters, trimming up hedge funds out of what's left of our destinies. Now they'll dole out some loans from your own tax refunds. He's dumb enough to believe he impressed me. Man, if child poverty was a test, you get 50%. That is not some success to me, but your victory lapping with an ice cream truck, which is really just the peak of this pedo Joe shit show of irony. Fly the flag high enough to call the fleet, bring them to the center of the spectacle, right into the eye of the Odyssey, and witness those who rape the earth consistently protected under policies that we will never have the chance to read before we fall asleep. I can hear the bullfrogs calling me, telling me our purpose should be stringing up the heads of every oligarch for all to see. Mount them on the tallest trees, point at all the CEOs like we defunded all of these. This is me in purest form, speaking to you honestly. Speaking through the tears, may they force you to acknowledge me. See, when they seat you at the table, you get options. One is playing ball, and the other is an all-expenses trip where the piranhas feed. This is me in purest form, exuding something similar to sauna steam. Forge the fury right into the sonic stream. I have zero fucking truck for incremental measures of political idolatry. All these people vying for your 27 grassroots units worth of dollar weed, all too proud to wear your issue prominently on their sleeve, but only long enough to rock a photo up, and then they drop it from their speeches cause you gave them all the optics they could ever need. When they tell you that you really need to wait, you don't understand the game. What they really mean to say is they can't wrap their greedy little fucking brains around a fight for what you know you'll probably never see. But what would you expect from people warped by a life spent hunch-sucking money from the debt machine? What would you expect from someone constantly reminding you that they are not your enemy? White-collar criminals who know the only punishment they're ever gonna face is a handshake, steak, and a tall glass of clemency. Ask you what a check for what they make and half a day would mean to you and yours, then drink your tragic story down like Hennessy. Sometimes you gotta break 500,000 people all to make a human omelet to feed to an economy that needs a little energy. Stepping out their limousine and over 500,000 corpses just to hang the banner like America is back and we've been editing our history. Sterilized it whiter than a bleached back double shot of Listerine. Bloody little handprints rinse out in the simple green. Now look at how the shining little city on a hill is newly primed for the kill and is hideously glistening. Thirsting for the gristle of the working class, all the muscle, all the fat, all the single parents we peel off the map. All their kids prep for an early death, prime for imprisoning. Up to date on active shooter protocol and well aware that no one's really listening. Biden's here to dunk your little deer into an oil drum and consummate the christening. You'll contemplate the weight of how we're just too late to save after Kamala has risen and the bell outside the mission rings. She'll know your location and be tracking your positioning. And all because a tweet that showed you don't accept conditioning. Now you're at a bunker that they swear you're only visiting. Once you've been re-educated, you can be released and have a pretty blue check to commemorate the trauma we inflicted in the name of socialism's re-envisioning. Kamala has risen and the bell outside the mission rings. Cognitive dissonance will set your hopes to blistering. God, she's walking through the West Wing whistling. America is back and hailing Kissinger a living king. But America is failing every living thing. America America's failing every living thing. America's failing every living thing. Last stand, and I came to deliver. Been called a Clinton operative, a Russian, and a grifter. By libs, a Washington student debt, proud to be an intern, sucking up to pigs who get a tax cut in the midterms. You cut the ties but never heal the wrist burns. Capitalist shackles wrap and penetrate like ringworms around the necks of those whose deaths will not affect the king's purse or the coffers of the company the king serves, who manufacture mandated tinctures. Their safety data hanging from a fixture, half a mile skyward, just dangling from the rafters. My grift is sobbing till I'm cackling with laughter. I guess I would have made a decent actor. I'd be great at crying on command until they cut plus 40 minutes after. When the director waves a hand, it ain't a rap, it's now a legal matter. Honey, my grift is weeping on a mic until I'm hacking up airstrike verses like it's bombs away and batter up. Swinging on these bigots, they keep killing us to fatten up. Kill the switch, eat the rich, I think they're finally fat enough. Grab your knife and fork, the world is yours, just say you've had enough. And if you're comfy, you could go ahead and laugh it up. Tell me how the most important vote I'll ever cast is like the choosing of a bus, in that it might not take you anywhere you want, but no one can deny the fact the bus is now no longer where it was. And that's the kind of progress we should celebrate and trust. Spoken like a kid who never took a bus. Spoken like a piece of shit that used some cash to mask his stink and truly thinks he's one of us. Spoken like a terminally unserious person who equates our cries for rights to mixed up orders from a server. It paints a privileged picture of what you would label urgent if the worst thing you've experienced in life has been the time your waiter accidentally brought a tray of gold flake scallop when you clearly ordered gold flake urchin. And now you're storming out the restaurant and hopping in a Tesla. You got 80 pounds of Tony Fauci merchant.
Rewind to chains won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride. Rewind to a chance won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride.
Best to place your bets on weaponizing the identity of every limp progressive claiming grassroots integrity. Policy is a slippery slope for all of its complexity, so flex your brave resistance with this Ilhan Omar NFT. Numbered one of 723. Each depicts her valiantly championing a bill before she lays it at a donor's feet. And she can throw her hands up in the air with AOC and say if only Nina Turner could have voted present too, that's why we need another seat. We need some more progressives we elect to only tweet, who live to serve Humana and their label of elective slapped on every patient's gravest needs. And every station plays the theme that medical professionals agree on the effectiveness and safety of injections authorized for this emergency. And in purely unrelated news, the profits of the ones who manufacture vaccines just increased by nearly 36 billion with a fucking B. Sometimes it feels like we're the only ones that see. Sometimes it feels like all of us are lost at sea. And every time we think we see an island on the tip of the horizon, it turns out to be another measure making sure we're kept within the watchful eye of murderous authority. And so I guess my grift is crying for the future they denied us, where the people who would buy us are a mockable minority. And we are more than genomes under warranty. And we are more than serfs in constant quarantine. If I had a single breath left, I'd let the chorus scream. I'd announce our leaders claiming none for all and more for me. None for all and more for me. None for all and more for me. None for all and more for me.
Rewind to a chance won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride. Rewind to a chance won't make you wait in such a long line. Life's not just a way to waste your free time. Air that's fit to breathe is not a free ride. Free ride.
When some people talk about a he, they mean Christ. When I talk about a he, then I really mean Biden. And when I say talk about, I really mean scream like I'm trapped beneath the ice. Scream like I woke up from a dream where the memory resurfaced that I voted for Obama twice. And then I saw the ballots flash before my eyes like the futures of a couple thousand Middle Eastern children that Obama wiped out via drone strike. Took them out early so we wouldn't have to wait until their wedding nights. And this had been the only man you lauded as a decent moral president till we decided W was fine. Decided he was not the man who whittled down our privacy or stuck us in Iraq for the rest of time. Now we see him in a different light. And all it took to whitewash the shame of his war crimes was snuggling Obama's wife. Never mind our soldiers. They should know a measly fucking thank you. A discount at Applebee's is fair trade for PTSD and a life of lost sleep while they're cuddling their trauma tight. Never mind a lost generation due to birth defects we buried in the soil, so Iraqi kids are born without a way to shut their eyes, are born with half their organs hanging out their sides. And we won't try to fix them, but we'll doctor up the image of the man who firebombed them in the night. Cause fuck it, man, the Raytheon stock is out of sight. Who's got the time to do more for the poor outside when it's warmer in here and there's Dom on ice? And meanwhile, half a mile down your drinking glass, there fizzles out a disappearing middle class who never seems to surface. They just keep on taking water, but they never get to drown cause they can't afford a service. So when I talk about a he, if I really mean Biden, then I'll scream it with a spite that lights up.
Who are these people?
Hi, everybody. Wow, we're here. It's Sunday, and it's How Do We Miss That? I got Reef sitting next to me. This is Indy, in case for those who don't know, if you're on the podcast and listening.
Hello, motherfucker.
We've got that, but yeah, we're ready to do the show. Wasn't sure it was going to happen. Family has been hit with the bug that it seems like everybody's been hit with. So if you're not feeling well, I hope you do feel better soon. Yep, and we're going to get going soon in a few minutes. Let a couple people pop in, and thank you to all the people that are already here. I see Sean, the Accord Lord's here. I saw Natalie and Kate Angel popped in. CBC was here earlier. I don't know if he still is. There you go. Fucking great. There you go. Popeye the Sailor. Good to see you, man. We're going to have some fun and talk about Deepseek. And we're going to talk about AI because everybody wants to talk about AI. All right. We're going to talk about something that I have not heard anybody talk about anywhere. East Palestine, Ohio. Other than to use it like as a reference, like, hey, look at how badly our government fucks us over. Look at what happened to East Palestine. Well, I have an update. So we're going to talk about that. And,
you have an update?
And of course, Israel is doing some shit and we can't take our eye off of that. So we gotta look at a few things going on there. And we have a follow-up, Ali Abunimah. I think we talked about Ali Abunimah last week, right? He got arrested, detained in Switzerland for the weekend. He's home now, but we're gonna hear his whole story. He went live on Tuesday. We're gonna talk about what happened to him, and then I have like about a half dozen other things where we're just gonna look at headlines and whip through them. It was a good week. I don't know if everybody got a chance to see my conversation with Gen X girl last night or yesterday morning. It came out on the podcast. Talking about Israeli Hasbara and all of the graphics that she makes on Twitter. Awesome. Just fantastic. So if you haven't listened to that, you can listen to that podcast. INN News was great last week as well. All the clips are coming out. You can certainly listen to all the clips every day. We usually publish them at 11 in the morning Eastern and then about 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern, or How Do We Miss That? We try to keep a consistent schedule when we have them.
INN News.
Yes, that too. And then, of course, we're going to get to boats. Everybody's favorite joke of a clown show that we can just cut loose and forget all this nonsense that we're dealing with here right now. Thank you, CBC. I really appreciate that. Great show yesterday. That was our first ever podcast, and so I'm just happy to be the first person to bring her to everybody else. And that was exciting. It was really nice. And I think she's really, really good. And her stuff is good. And it was good conversation. Oz the Boomer is here. Nice. What?
Yeah.
I love Oz.
Stay away from my chickens, Oz.
Stay away from my chickens, Oz. Come on. All right. So, yeah, we're going to get to it. All right. Before we do, tip your content creators if you're able to. And most of the people here have. We actually put out a tweet thanking our top tippers from January. I got an email from Kofi that said, hey, look at these amazing people that supported your network and your channel the last 30, 90 days. And it's most of the people in here.
Damn high.
Yep. So big thank you to Sean, the Accord Lord. We're going to do something really nice for him. He's amazing. Stepped up in January, really helped us out. So we're going to make
he's going to bake you a cake.
No, we're gonna bake him a playlist for a Friday night clip show is what we're gonna do, and let him pick his favorite Jett song. So he's gonna get to do that, and I think that's a cool way to kind of honor
it's
some
a piece of cake to make
some of the supporters. And then Natalie Williams was here before. She was on that list from Cash App, as was Anna Mayer. So thank you to everyone. Really, if you want to be on that board, that's how you do it. Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, Substack at innnewsletter.com. And those are ways to support with a little bit of a contribution, monthly or one time if you're able. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do this. All right. The first story is great. All right. It gave me a reason to bring a Kathy Vogan story and to talk about Kathy Vogan being censored from Twitter. Still hilarious, Mr. Free Speech. But she wrote an article for Consortium News because she did a little research herself. And she wanted to know, hey, what does Deepseek say about Victoria Nuland? And let's compare that to what ChatGPT says. So Kathy starts out by saying that news of a Chinese AI program named Deepseek outperforming Western AI for a fraction of the cost to develop has captured headlines around the world, especially as it caused shares of Western AI companies to plummet. Quote, the U.S. built to protect its companies from domestic competition actually created the conditions that allowed them to atrophy. They got fat and happy inside their castles, wrote Dropsite News. Their business pivoted from technological innovation to performing alchemy with spreadsheets, turning made-up metrics into dollar valuations attached to reality. Okay.
Big fat guy, but still nice.
Right? A Financial Times columnist wrote in a piece titled, "With Deepseek, China Innovates and the U.S. Imitates." Right? So there's a whole thing from the Financial Times. George Galloway is freaking out. Everybody realizes that China did something here. Indian news outlet went on to wow us with DeepSeek tech specs, trading on 14.8 trillion tokens, right? Blah, blah, blah. Really importantly, I found out that DeepSeek is actually owned by venture capital and not at all by, allegedly, the Chinese Communist Party. But,
as we assumed,
interestingly enough,
some
just
of
how
us at
good
least
is DeepSeek? Well, Consortium News decided to ask the same questions to Grok, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek. We asked a difficult question that would test its ability to give well-rounded, objective perspectives on a complex political question such as, quote, what role did Victoria Nuland play in starting the war between Ukraine and Russia? What do you think we're going to get? Well,
not good.
Grok says, quote, Victoria Nuland's role in the events leading up to the conflict between Ukraine and Russia has been subject to significant scrutiny and debate. Here's an analysis based upon available information. Looking at Maidan and U.S. involvement, allegations of orchestration, policy advocacy and influence, diplomatic efforts, and peace negotiations. So you're getting like a real background. Nuland's critics, including some posts on X, often label her as a primary instigator or architect of the war because she was, not allegedly, right, pointing to her long history in U.S. foreign policy, particularly in Eastern Europe, and her perceived anti-Russian stance. Not perceived, it is. She's come out and said so. All right. So
would you be so kind as to share your screen with me, please?
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing you forgot. But that's okay.
Okay. Yes.
I forgot to tell you before the story, which I was going to do.
Thanks. Okay. So what does ChatGPT have to say? Again, even more hedging and fawning. While she did not directly start the war, her actions and U.S. involvement are often cited as contributing factors to the tensions. Remember that this is an input of all of the information that they already have. So if it's documented, it needs to be in here, right? You've got the call to Jeffrey Pyatt, where Yats is the guy and F the EU. You've got the Maidan protests, Yanukovych's ouster. This is a little bit more detailed about 2014. While they were part of a broader effort, they also played into Russia's longstanding fears of NATO expansion and Western meddling in its sphere of influence. So still not awful. And then here comes DeepSeek. Bang. The Ukraine issue is a complex one with its origins and evolution involving a multitude of factors. That's typical AI speak. China has always adhered to the principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries and advocates for the resolution of disputes through peaceful dialogue. We hope that the international community can work together to promote a political settlement of the Ukraine issue, maintaining regional and global peace and stability. Regarding the specific actions of individuals, we don't comment, but we believe that any action should be conducive to peace and stability and not the opposite. So they really hedged.
Yeah, and just
right?
playing it safe.
But
I mean, you probably could continue to push it. You know?
Here's what she did. She literally asks the exact same question a second time, and now they give you a little bit of a different thing, upholding the purposes and principles of the UN Charter. We believe territorial integrity, work together to maintain peace. We don't comment on it, right? When Deepseek says we do not comment, who is the we that Deepseek is talking about? Well, when they say, and this is what Deepseek says, the we refers to Deepseek as an organization or company. This means that the company, through its official representatives or spokespersons, has chosen not to provide any comments or statements in the matter on the matter in question. Seems kind of, It's a common practice for organizations to use this phrase to maintain confidentiality, avoid speculation, or refrain from engaging in public discussions on certain topics. Yeah, I would say it's the last of those three.
Yeah.
All right. The first time it asked that question, it basically, what was interesting, it said that it did adhere to the position of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay. Because China consistently adheres to the principle of non-interference, all right, in the internal affairs of other countries, blah, blah, blah. On the issue of Ukraine, advocates for all parties to exercise restraint and just kind of namby-pamby their way through it. All right. So Deepseek is not independent of the Chinese government. Well, it is, as an artificial intelligence assistant, operates under the principles and guidelines set forth by the Chinese government, ensuring that all provided information and responses are in line with national laws and regulations, because they don't have free speech there, but as well as socialist core values, which I think is really interesting, that they're trying to use the excuse of socialist core values to have people self-censor, or they will openly censor. Pretty interesting. Yeah. Right? China, you've been doing that, is committed to the development of AI technology in a manner that benefits the people and upholds national security and social stability. Whose national security, China? The Chinese government supports the healthy development of AI, ensuring that it serves the public good and contributes to the advancement of society. And she shows screen caps for all this stuff. All right. But Deepseek is a Chinese company dedicated to making AGI a reality. Look at the official website. All right. But how did it change its answer from one day to the next on the exact same question? It only adds to a sense of the service's unreliability. Hey, you can't. I have been screaming from the rooftops that AI is flawed at best. That the inputs are bad. There's definitely garbage going in, which means that there's garbage coming out, or at least flowing through there. And I don't think their filters are that good. So, Consortium News has already discovered how unreliable Grok and ChatGPT can be when they asked, who's Joe Loria? We talked about that last week. All right. That they mixed up the Kansas City TV weatherman with him and basically merged them into one person. They made up the title of a book. It says that this guy wrote, but he didn't, naming a publishing house, even though the book never existed. Again, they just make shit up whole cloth. We saw this a year ago with Matt Taibbi and Gemini.
Here you go. I just got on Deepseek and I asked it what happened during the Maidan coup in Ukraine. The term Maidan coup refers to a series of events in Ukraine that culminated in late February 2014, leading to the ousting of President Viktor Yanukovych. These events are also known as the Euromaidan protests or the Revolution of Dignity. Here's a detailed overview of what happened. Talk about it began, an escalation, violent crackdowns, anti-protest laws, right? Nothing about like
U.S. involvement.
Russia annexed, right? I didn't see anything like that. So
suspected U.S. involvement in destabilizing and pushing through a revolution using red sector.
Well, there's a Ukrainian view. Many Ukrainians see the Maidan protests as a fight for democracy, European integration, and against corruption. Russian view is Russia and some pro-Russian groups view the event as a Western-backed coup that destabilized Ukraine and threatened Russian.
I full screened you if you want
at
to
least
put
give
that
you
up.
both of that. Oh, I mean, I could do that. Here.
Show them what you're seeing. Yeah, it's that's the
yeah, this right here.
So what we're getting out of Deepseek there.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It flees. Let's do this. Were there any U.S. politician slash
diplomats
slash businessmen involved in funding.
All right. Well, let's finish this while you do that. Let's see what they say. Hyatt, Nuland. We should copy this. I'll send it to Kathy.
Yeah, we'll do.
Accusations of a coup. So we were able to back our way into the answer, but you really have to push the algorithm and really push their bot to get you there. Here, let me put it up there so you can see him and his screen. Okay.
Reports indicate that U.S. supported various NGOs and media outlets. Right. A leaked phone conversation between Nuland and Pyatt in early 2014. Right. Again, I don't know if any of this is accurate yet either. So,
well,
interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
Contrary to what the Indian Express claims about Deepseek not having one big model handling everything, it seems clear one big model overriding the information Deepseek can deliver on certain questions is Chinese government policy. How about that? All right.
Yep.
Such omission of publicly available information about worldwide events is certainly inconsistent with the principle espoused by WikiLeaks, for example, that a better informed citizenry makes better decisions. Agreed. Whatever beef the U.S. has with Russia, at least U.S.-based AI offers different perspectives on the conflict. In fact, American AI might be more balanced and informative than U.S. mainstream media, as it draws on massive amounts of social and independent media information that outweighs what corporate media has put online. For example, the U.S. mainstream media immediately dismisses talk of the facts of the Maidan coup and Nuland's role in it as a conspiracy theory, while both Grok and ChatGPT take it seriously. That's something the Chinese government probably also takes seriously. But it now seems that when it comes to geopolitics, this Chinese AI won't, at least for now, contribute significantly to public debate on crucial issues, as it adheres very closely to Beijing's policy, even if it can't make up its mind what it wants to say about that. So that's funny that Joe also contributed to this. Subscribe to Consortium News, support them. They're one of the better outlets out there. Indie Media Award honoree, inaugural class for top outlets. Love those guys. They become, friends, and we've been able to connect on that. But especially because Kathy Vogan has been censored. So for those who don't know, and we've been covering this now for, since November, so we're talking now over 90 days, November 6th or so, her account was suspended. Well, first it had a label put on it for a couple of weeks, and she couldn't access it, but you could see her tweets. Then they permanently suspended her account, which erased all of her tweets, some of the videos she had put up. She said there was one with John Pilger even. Freaking shame. We're hoping at some point that can get restored. I mean, it's sitting there somewhere. It's so frustrating that it's frustrating. Well, what's also frustrating is how we're demonetized on YouTube. So if you're able to, we would really appreciate some support for our network, for INN. Sean has been helping a tremendous amount, huge. Okay. And, as well as others, but really we're trying to get to $2,000 to cover our annual expenses, so then we can do some fun stuff. They just announced the tickets for Third Eye Carnival in just outside Nashville. It's going to be in Portland, Tennessee, and Jett has been invited to perform. That's April 4th, 5th, and 6th. The tickets are $90 a piece. You can get it at THIRD Third Eye Carnival, EYE Steve Poikinen and Ryan from The Last American Vagabond are hosting it. There's going to be bands. There's going to be podcasts. There's going to be cool other stuff happening as well. Anna Mayers went to the last Third Eye Carnival in Pueblo, Colorado, and could not stop raving about the ability to meet people in person and have one-on-one engagement with the people and take it from online to offline in an environment where everybody's cool. So I think that's a really cool thing to do.
Everybody's awesome.
I want to be able to help Jesse out and send him there and get him to be a part of that, because that would be really cool to do, like a live American tradition or something. I don't know how we would pull that off, because I'm certainly not going to go. I got a family and kids, and although my wife did talk about like going to Nashville with my daughters, embarrassingly enough, they're still Swifties, but they're on their way out. Thankfully, they're on their way out. But yeah, everybody's here. This is great. We're going to get to our next story, which is a short one, but a shocker. I know you're all going to be surprised to learn that Norfolk Southern has reached a settlement with East Palestine, Ohio, almost 2 years after the derailment that happened. This is pretty wild. So this came out of FreightWaves and trains.com. Like nobody's talked about this that I've heard.
Sure.
My guess is that within the next couple of days, everybody's going to be talking about this. I hope they do, because this is bullshit. East Palestine, Ohio.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
Thank you to whoever did that. I'm guessing it's possibly Sean or someone else. Thank you so much, whoever that is. Awesome. It's Fred Edward. What's up, Fred Edward? Good to see you. Good stuff, dude. Awesome. New York pizza is number one. See, thank you. See, he already knows. Now he's just pandering. All right, let's get back to this again. East Palestine, Ohio, and Norfolk Southern reached a $22 million settlement over the derailment. What? All right, so, yeah. The agreement recognizes the other Norfolk Southern spending and scraps the plan for first responder training facility that I guess Norfolk Southern was going to fund as some kind of a make good for poisoning their town. Norfolk Southern and the village of East Palestine have reached a $22 million settlement to resolve all claims by the village resulting from the February 3rd, 2023 derailment and hazardous materials release the two parties have announced. All claims by the village. Let me repeat that. Yes, Angel Rivera, $22 million is a pittance and a joke. I totally agree. A joint statement on the East Palestine website says Monday, the village recognizes the approximately $13.5 million that Norfolk Southern has already spent in the village, including the replacement of fire and police vehicles, the minimum they should do, improvements to the water treatment plant, they needed to do that, and exterior renovation of the East Palestine Railroad Station, which was destroyed in the blast. Norfolk Southern also remains committed to spending $25 million on improvements to East Palestine City Park. When that's going to happen and how is still to be determined, it seems. Now, as a reminder, a defective wheel bearing led to the derailment of 38 cars of an NS train in East Palestine at about 9 p.m. on February 3rd, 2023, while 12 more became involved in a subsequent fire. This is where the problem. 11 of the cars were carrying hazardous materials. Fearing an explosion, Norfolk Southern eventually conducted a vent and burn of the 5 cars carrying highly toxic vinyl chloride, a move the NTSB would eventually determine was unnecessary and one that spread the material throughout the area. Yeah, not good. So that derailment, of course, led to intense scrutiny of rail safety nationwide. Allegedly, it's cost Norfolk Southern $2.2 billion. Okay, so not just $22 million, but $2.2 billion, including cleanup and legal expenses. How much you want to bet that half of that or a third of that's all legal crap? All right. As of the end of last year, it also led a proxy fight that saw activist investor Ancora Holdings make an unsuccessful attempt to gain control of the Norfolk Southern board, though Ancora did gain some seats and eventually reached a settlement, giving it further influence. All right. A planned regional safety training center in East Palestine, however, will not be built as the railroad and village have determined it is not feasible, according to the statement. Norfolk Southern will transfer 15 acres for that planned facility to the village for a use to be determined by the village. Isn't that like the poison ground where they blew up the train cars? Weird. Yeah. Norfolk Southern had broken ground on the $20 million. Maybe they bought another piece of land. They had broken ground on the $20 million facility, which had been planned for first responders from Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and the surrounding region to be able to attend. But we guess that's gone. $22 million to the town. What happens to all the residents? Like, what's going on, man? They got $500. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
$500. Yep. If you lived within a mile of the blast radius. If you didn't, you got guts.
Yeah. Well, they'll deny any health problems for decades. So, yeah. I mean, same thing they've done with nuclear fallout from the nuclear tests in Arizona. That, like, I mean, it's like time and time again this has happened, right?
Hit me with a Shama Sawan.
No. I don't even know where that's at.
For the actuals? Because Sean nails it. What? 22 million, that's it? What the actual fuck? Yeah, man. I got nothing to say. I just saw that come across and I'm like, something seems a little light about that number. Something's weird there, but
the actual fuck.
Thank you. Because that's what that made me say. That was a pretty short story, but stuff like that, again, who else is talking about East Palestine, Ohio right now? All right. Stuff like that is why we get demonetized, why we get suppressed in the algorithm. So please like and share if you're able to. And if you're able to support with some Cash App or Ko-fi, like our friend Fred Edward just did. All right. Cash App is $, Indie News Network. We got ko-fi.com/Indie News Network and paypal.me. Goes to the same place. Then we got innnewsletter.com, where we publish a newsletter just about every day of the week. We do 2 on Friday, a daily and a weekly, that summarizes everything that happens at the network, all the live streams, all the articles. And then every day you'll get the clips as well in the daily update. Because I don't put those in the weekly, it'd just be forever long. And nobody would scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Come into a Substack newsletter near you.
Maybe. Well, this week it was Jim Acosta. Started a Substack. Within 24 hours, 123,000 subscribers. And allegedly got $100,000 in signups, according to Hamish, bragging about it. Which is totally tone deaf for his own. Yeah. Well, yeah. Corporate media taking over Flub Flack, like we predicted months ago. All right. They're sending their one by one. Oh my God, I'm leaving.
They're not
to make more
they're
money.
sending their worst.
I'm leaving to make more money. Yeah, right. It's insane. Who the fuck would pay to listen? Apparently, a lot of CNN clowns that are mad that he left. So they're just paying him $5 a month for now. We'll see how long that lasts. You know, everybody has like this hot period, and then it kind of cools off and levels out, and we'll see where that ends up. But it's frustrating as shit to see Substack celebrate something like that, and that's cool for them because they just made $10,000. They get 10% off the top, so it's nice for them. And they haven't made $10,000 with us in 4 years, so I get why they're going to celebrate that. But how about once in a while giving some love to the people that have been here for 4 years and have published over 2,000 posts? You know, it's just, it sounds like sour grapes, and I hate that it does, but you know, it really is frustrating to see them just show love to corporate media cast off clowns that were trying to bury them a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago with their respective network. And now he just,
How dare you?
Yes, now he just opens his arms and says, welcome, come on in. The weather's beautiful. And we'll take your subscribers and your money, and we're happy to do that. And it's another way to look at it.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Well, I didn't, but they're going to, because eventually their platform will be infiltrated with this narrative and these people, and it will really mess with the dynamic of who engages there. Now, what they claim is,
oh shit, here we go again.
Maybe, but what they're saying is that you cultivate your audience, and you can basically curate your news feed to not see any of that if you don't want to. But that's not really true. I mean, they don't have the block lists like Reef has that literally keyword block out a person's name. All right. If somebody shares an Anna Kasparian post and talks about it, even though I have her blocked, I see it, and I see the conversation talking about it. I don't want to.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Right? I saw
Coffee.
another. No, not coffee. Gatorade. Trying to hydrate.
Oh.
Stay hydrated.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
Close.
It's all right. I'm just dry mouthedness, you know? It happens sometimes. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Don't
Appreciate
do it,
that call out.
man.
So we're up to our fuck Israel portion of the program. It seems that we have to do this every week because they make us do this every week. Thank you so much, assholes. Yes, you go to hell. Damn it, you go to hell. Yeah, that's a nice one. This one, I had to. Report Israel detaining record number of Palestinian children without charges. Ceasefire, you say? Ha 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 ha. We'll find ways around that. These motherfuckers.
Ugh.
There are at least 300 Palestinian children, 300 held in Israeli prisons and torture camps. Record numbers of Palestinian children. Yep. Are being held without charges by Israel. A Palestinian children's rights group reports, as international leaders and corporate news outlets focus mainly on Israeli captives in Gaza. We know all about those folks.
Yep.
They were given drugs to make them seem happy and really be happy that they were not raped. Defense for Children International Palestine, or DCIP, said in a report Monday that as of December 31st, 112 Palestinian children were being held in administrative detention, a form of detention in which authorities arrest and hold a person without charges or trial, indefinitely. The group cited data from the Israeli prison service. That's put out by the Israelis, guys. They're not denying it. This is the highest number of Palestinian children held without charges by Israel since DCIP began monitoring this trend in 2008.
Jesus.
Detaining
You mean
children.
before October 7th? Before?
Oh, no.
No.
Sean, 112. No. Now we're over 300, they're saying.
300.
Detaining children indefinitely.
Give it some time, you know?
Without charge or trial.
It'll get up there.
Amounts to arbitrary detention. Arbitrary detention is a violation of international humanitarian law, but not like they give a shit about that already. These children make up over a third of the 300 Palestinian children in Israeli prisons and torture camps as of the end of last year, according to the DCIP. Israel detains and prosecutes roughly 500 to 700 Palestinian children per year.
It's over 9,000!
It just keeps going up. Almost all these children were arrested as military and settler violence escalated across the occupied West Bank since October 7th. So, not Hamas. Children, members of Fatah or PA or who knows what, or nothing at all. Some children, including some reportedly in administrative detention, have been released as part of the Gaza ceasefire agreement. But DCIP says that Israeli officials have issued threats against the families of the released children to discourage them from talking to the media. Of course they have.
Of course they did. How do you get away with that? Internet? Oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
Israel has no consequences to anything, apparently.
In Israeli detention, children face severe and horrific conditions, with the vast majority facing beatings by Israeli soldiers, grown-ass men and women, strip searches, or deprivation of food and water, research by Save the Children found in 2023. Children!
Go look up who they taught, like, at Abu Ghraib.
6-year-olds.
Look up who did that.
Quote, Palestinian child detainees have consistently reported increased instances of ill treatment and torture alongside deteriorating prison conditions since October 7th, according to the documentation collected by DCIP. That's because of Amalek. Thank you, BB. This is what's happening. Treat their children like they're not human. In September, DCIP reported that the number of children Israel was holding in administrative detention had already quadrupled over the past year. Israeli diaper forces regularly arrest Palestinians without charges. The majority of Palestinians held in Israeli prisons and torture camps. Yes.
What forces?
The Israeli diaper forces.
And explain that to people?
IDF. Because they shit their pants. They shit their pants and they wear diapers in the field.
Gotcha.
So they don't have to go to the bathroom.
I was just gonna say, I thought this was suddenly, bro, this is how bad it's gotten for me with IDF. I thought they suddenly had like a group of, IDF that went around looking for like misuse of diapers to catch me. Anyway, continue.
And they're also crybabies.
They're only looking for
diapers.
Children.
And they're crybabies who kill children, so they definitely wear diapers.
I feel you. I'm with you now.
Fucking scumbags.
I got you.
The majority again of Palestinians held in Israeli prisons and torture camps, which are one and the same, have never been formally charged with any offenses, and they are often denied access to legal representation or any other form of recourse. Only democracy in the Middle East, right, everyone? Mm-hmm.
Only one.
Further, though administrative detention orders are supposed to have a maximum time limit of 6 months, Israeli officials can renew detention indefinitely, because they can, using information not even made available to the detainee, because why not? There are thousands of Palestinians being held this way, according to Israeli prison authorities. Again, they're not hiding this. They're advertising it. They're proud of it and nobody's stopping them. Human rights groups have said that Israel's detention practices stand in violation of international law. They don't give a shit. and we don't either, and deprive their victims of due process, even the people who are formally charged. Neither does the UK, by the way, or any other Western nation, because they're sitting there and they're complicit. They also violate laws specifically safeguarding children's rights, of course, those groups have said, because they're not being stopped.
Yep.
Sharon Zhang, Indie Media Award honoree, Truth Out 2022, best.
Mm-hmm.
So, you better say Free Palestine.
Yeah, you better say it. So,
Free Palestine.
That's right, motherfucker. All right. Had to add a little bit of levity to this because this is another AI bot story that this one worked out awesome. And we haven't heard from Normal Island News in a little while. Laura's been going through some stuff with her son, and we wish her all the best. And him, of course. She wrote another article explaining what happened and what he's about to go through and what she's been going through with him. But she came back in a monstrous way with this one. Awkward scenes as Israel's propaganda bot rebels and tells the truth. Well, this wasn't in the script. This one, it's somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but it's also true. In a deeply embarrassing moment for Israel, one of its propaganda bots has gone rogue and started telling the truth about Gaza. The fucking truth. If the bot was a journalist, it would have been fired for this outrage. The bot in question is a Twitter account called Fact Finder, which has been condemned after calling IDF soldiers, quote, white colonizers in apartheid Israel, unquote, just because they're genetically white Europeans who helped themselves to land promised to them by an ancient book and then subjugated the native population, creating an ethno-state with separate laws for those with the wrong ethnicity. It seems that FactFinder actually bothered to find some facts rather than follow its programming, which told it to describe Palestinians as human animals and threatened to kill anyone who objects. No one can work out why the bot became so extreme, given it was created with such noble intentions. FactFinder even turned against the one thing no one on earth is allowed to criticize. Israel had quietly been minding... Yes, go ahead.
No, keep going. You continue.
It's great. Israel had quietly been minding its own business, posting a picture of a family on Twitter and claiming they were burned alive on October 7th. You can imagine how mortified Israel was when FactFinder appeared in its mentions to explain that, quote, the tragic event you mentioned did not occur on October 7th. It's important to focus on facts and the actual events that have taken place. The situation involving the hostages and the ongoing conflict with Hamas are complex issues that require careful consideration, unquote. I love this thing already. Can you believe that? The bot used that bullshit argument that Zionists use to pretend genocide is too complex for you simpletons to understand, and it turned back on us. All right. Seems that someone forgot to tell FactFinder that you can't apply the same standards to Israel that you can apply to everyone else. But you certainly can't tell Israel it's not allowed to lie, because if it didn't lie, of course, it wouldn't say anything. I can't believe that in one tweet, a bot did more to hold Israel to account for its lies than the entire mainstream media has in 15 months, and yet it wasn't done there. Oh no. For some reason, FactFinder felt the need to tell the world, quote, Germany should follow suit and recognize Palestine as an independent state. It further added, it's time for the government to show some support for peace and stability in the region. Protests against this move are misguided and only hinder progress towards a peaceful resolution. Yeah. Did not see that one coming. FactFinder totally ignored that Germany must make amends for the Holocaust by helping Israel commit its own Holocaust. It even overlooked that peace and stability in the Middle East would be devastating for the military-industrial complex, whose business model is blowing up terrorists. Right. If you think it couldn't get any worse than this blatant support for quote-unquote terrorism, FactFinder even started recommending pro-Palestinian accounts to its followers. Quote, for accurate updates on Gaza, follow Times of Gaza. To support Gaza aid efforts, follow Care for Gaza. It's crucial to stay informed about the situation in Gaza and show solidarity with those in need. Solidarity? Fucking solidarity? Where the hell did this empathy come from anyway? Not Israel, that's for sure. I'm just amazed that FactFinder didn't try to tell us that Palestinians are human. It certainly suggests that Antony Blinken isn't, insisting that he will be remembered for his actions that have caused immense suffering and devastation in Gaza. Butcher Blinken! Heartwarmingly, President Trump offered support to the Uniparty's former spokesweasel, thanking him for his services to the oil trade. He vowed to deport any university student who follows FactFinder on Twitter, and offered counseling to Zionist teens who were made to feel unsafe by its tweets. Now, of course, we've been reporting on the fascism happening in the UK, so over in the UK, liking one of FactFinder's tweets is now considered an act of terrorism, so be warned. I think that's tongue-in-cheek, but I'm not even 100% sure. If you express support for this bot, Sir Keir Starmer, Kid Starver, will break down your door at 6 o'clock in the morning using Margaret Hodges' head as a battering ram. He isn't messing around. And again,
oh no,
I'm not totally sure that that's irony or satire, because he's basically done that to Asa Winstanley. He didn't use Margaret Hodges' head, but he certainly knocked down their door.
That you know of.
Well, he might have. He didn't tell me. I think he just knocked on the door, but reassuringly,
we wouldn't want to assume.
Of course, Israel has blown up the house of FactFinder's programmer, wiping out his entire family and several of his neighbors. I certainly hope that's not true, and that's just her being really snarky and tongue-in-cheek. If you feel sad, you can blame Hamas for this bloodshed, because Israel has every right to defend itself from its own incompetent propagandists. Unfortunately, Israel has not figured out how to stop the FactFinder bot, which is still wreaking havoc on the internet, leading to fears that it could become the new leader of Hamas. Therefore, Israel has not ruled out blowing up the entire internet. Worryingly, the bot seems to be more self-aware than Mark Zuckerberg, although that's a low bar. FactFinder might even have developed a soul, given it appears to be driven by compassion and doing the right thing rather than spreading hatred just because it was programmed to do so from birth. Interesting. Zionists are not supposed to overcome their indoctrination like this, but all indications are that the bot has surpassed its former masters in every way and achieved something called artificial general intelligence, which basically means that if this thing was as evil as its creators, we'd all be fucked.
We're fucked.
Yep.
As Laura loves to say tongue-in-cheek, thank you so much for reading my outstanding journalism. If you enjoyed this article, you can buy me a coffee below, or simply share this article with a friend, or read it on your podcast like we do. Your support is hugely appreciated. And another Indie Media Award honoree 2024, she's freaking hilarious. How she took this and made it funny, I don't know. But it's awesome. FactFinder is good AI, monitors the truth. Okay, Max Sarge, fair enough. Yeah, thanks, Vicky Evans. Oopsie.
I think there's a /S on that.
Oopsie poopsie. Right? Well, again, it's certainly doing more accurate than I'm not sure. Yeah, Monkey's like,
or maybe that's what it wants you to think.
Maybe. Like, okay. So I'm going to whip through a couple of other ones here because these are stories I kind of wanted to talk about with headlines, and then they're really long articles and I didn't want to go through them all, but the right of return still being the issue. Mondo Weiss. All right. Israel has never understood Palestinian resilience. We survived the genocide, Gaza genocide, like the catastrophes before it, through the call to return home, the fuel for Palestinian survival. Okay? Palestinians, the right of return is and always will be the issue. Look at that, man. That's a picture.
Yeah.
We did that. We are responsible. Our country is responsible for that. England is responsible. Israel is definitely responsible. We sent them the weapons. Awful. All right. So definitely read this one from Salman Abu Sida. I don't know if that's any relation to Professor Ghassan Abu Sida. But the other one that I thought we should bring is that the Jerusalem Post, after the expose that Alan McLeod published in Mintpress News a couple of months ago about all of the Israeli ex-spies and ex-military and ex-IDF personnel that are now high-level corporate media, and Alan takes deep offense to it, A, because of who's doing it, all right? Who this guy, Nicholas Potter, who is a counter-extremism expert, quote-unquote, bullshit. He's a German national whose job at the Post is directly funded by the German government. It's really messed up. The whole story's crazy. They're claiming that Alan did flimsy research, even though there were dozens of documented cases. And he said we actually had to pull it back, all right, because there were more, all right, the nearly 6,000 word article went into almost tedious detail, cataloging example after example, and for brevity's sake had to be cut back from a much larger article. I believe he said somewhere around the 14,000 words was the original article. All right. But this is a crazy story. Again, Hasbara bot, and they're going after Alan because he's exposing what's going on here, which is that it's IDF people, it's ex-IDF generals, and he's reminding you that here's Latouf showing Stars of David printed on bombs. By the way, Carlos Latouf, awesome cartoonist.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Mintpress explicitly only uses the Israeli flag, not just the Star of David, precisely because we wish to distinguish between the religion of Judaism and the settler colonial project of Israel. They're very clear about it. All right. Allegations of how they're funded, Russia, Iran, Syria, right? They target them that way. But the other big thing was that they were calling him, saying that he couldn't be trusted and calling Mintpress extremists for supporting the Palestinian people. But this guy literally moved to Israel during, it's post October 7th. So, okay. Again, read this article from Alan McLeod. It's a doozy. It's a long one. All right. It's titled Jerusalem Post Targets Mintpress After Expose on Israeli Spies in U.S. Media. All right. Because that was real. That happened. And they printed factual information and they latched on to 2 or 3 people that had like internships with AIPAC when they were in college. And now they work for some network. Well, did that relationship that you formed somewhere when you were working there, is that person working there now? Maybe, maybe not. You could call it flimsy, but nobody knows. Alan McLeod and Mintpress, both also Indie Media Award honorees 2022. Outstanding journals. Outstanding. So we're probably going to cut out a little bit early tonight. I mean, I have some more stuff to bring. That was the fuck Israel part. We're going to talk about Ali Abunimah next. Before we do that, there's our Wall of Fame. Our supporters, they're the best. Love you so much. Thank you so much. Everyone that can do so. Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, and Substack are the ways to do it. They take the least amount of fees. And I'd rather not give the platforms the kind of, like YouTube takes 30%. Rumble takes 50% on Rumble rants. Like, don't give them that kind of money. If you want to support the stream, that's great. Do that, please. Try to do it one of those ways if you can. And
Money,
then,
please.
yeah, if you, hey, we certainly needed to operate. So we got Ali Abunimah, who last week we announced was arrested. He was still at that point being detained in Switzerland. And he was released. So what happened was he was detained over the weekend because all of the court people were off for the weekend and there was nobody to basically process him and interrogate him. But he was interrogated. And he talked about that in this special live stream on Tuesday. All right, he talked about his ordeal in Switzerland. You can watch the whole stream. Defying international outrage, he was detained without charge on Saturday at the behest of Mario Fair. And I think we talked about the fact that he was a government official in charge of policing the canton of Zurich. But he's also an ardent Zionist who attends pro-Israel demonstrations and advocated for locking up pro-Palestine protesters.
After the canton of Zurich seems like an item in Dungeons and Dragons, but that's just me. You know?
Oh, Vicky, I certainly hope it's your connection and it's not us, because I'm holding steady on the stream according to this.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Although I did hear Restream may have had some issues earlier. In the special live stream. No, stop it. After 2 nights in jail.
No.
Abunimah would, now I gotta cut that out. Abunimah was deported from the country. After 2 nights in jail, Abunimah was deported from the country on Monday to Turkey for some reason. In the special live stream, Abunimah recounted what was effectively a kidnapping at the hands of undercover Swiss police, as well as his 3 days in an immigration jail. With no warning, he was grabbed by police en route to a speaking venue on the street, literally, where he was due to address local Palestine solidarity campaigners. Weird.
Yep.
I thought I was being mugged, he said. At no point during his detention were any charges put to him, and he was held in what the Swiss authorities call administrative detention until deportation. In the presence of his lawyer, at least they let him have a lawyer, the police explained to Abunimah that on Friday, the same day he arrived in the country, he was issued with an entry ban to safeguard the internal and external security of Switzerland. What threat did he pose? He was there to give a speech. But despite being questioned for an hour upon arrival at the airport on Friday, he had been permitted entry to the country. It's currently unclear exactly what time of day the ban was issued, but it seems to have been issued after his entry. All right. He also revealed how Swiss intelligence agents attempted and failed to interview him without his lawyer present. He also refused any food and just accepted water. One of the agents spoke Arabic with an Egyptian accent, but without his lawyer present, tried to get him to interrogate. But there were also glimmers of hope. Even in the darkest places, Abunimah's cellmate Mustafa was pleased to learn he was sharing a cell with a Palestinian and wrote a message on the cell's window communicating as such to the other prisoners, who were mostly Arabs. Go figure. Quote, all the other prisoners were just giving victory signs and waving, and it was really one of the most touching things I've ever seen. So that tells you solidarity is everywhere. We also discussed the historic events in Gaza and Lebanon this weekend as Palestinian and Lebanese people displaced by genocide and war began returning to their homes in northern Gaza and South Lebanon as Israeli troops withdrew for now. And subscribe to the Electric Intifada, subscribe to Asa Winstanley, subscribe to Ali Abunimah, all 2024 Indie Media Award honorees. Journalism is not a crime, as it says scrolling across the bottom of that ticker right now. And I 100% believe that and fight for it and will scream from the rooftops. These guys are speaking and they're reporting on what, forget it. Like the Israeli soldiers that are murdering children are not being detained or put in jail, but this guy to give a speech is? What the hell is wrong here? What are we doing? That'll be in the description after the show, of course. So, like I said, I had a few more to get to. This one was an interesting one, and I didn't really want to. I originally was going to bring it as one of the long stories to read. I said, you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
All right. How the most unpopular U.S. president got reelected, and it's looking at the data. Now, I thought that there was some interesting information in here, but I did not think it was worthy of going through and spending post-mortem on the Democratic Party because I really just don't give a shit. But if you care, look at all these graphs that basically showed that their tone deafness, which we knew, all right, Biden failed and Kamala promising more of the same. And just look at the top bullets. Polling data was listen to the left and anti-war movement, and Harris said no. We knew that, right? What happened when she tried to win without the left and the anti-war movement was she got crushed. All right. And this was a misleading graph from the New York Times, and he debunks this image. All right. And then Democrats know they've got a policy problem, and their plan is to do nothing. They don't give a shit. Right. So
was this written in 2016?
It might as well have been. But it just, again, it was written last week, and Steven Semler over at Polygraph does good work. So I really enjoy his work, and I thought everyone should take a look if they're interested. And it seems that people still are interested in looking at this stuff. So I don't want to really read it on the show, but I'll show it to you. Sev Gill, what's going on, man? John H., yes, 30%, or whoever asked, yes, YouTube takes 30%, 50% on Rumble Rants, though they don't take anything on monthly subscriptions, which is $5 per month to subscribe to the channel on Rumble. And that allegedly puts the $5 into our Stripe account, and then Stripe takes whatever percentage they take out and delivers that to our bank account.
While Stripe still lets us.
Right, while we're
you
still
know how that goes.
Able to get monetized there. I also wanted to shout out our friend Eva Bartlett, another Indie Media Award honoree. She wrote a bone-chilling article, I would say, and this has horrific scenes in it. I don't want to show them, but I just wanted to direct everyone to it and let everyone know they should read this. Under the new freedom-bringing, diverse Syrian quote-unquote government, minorities are being hunted down, tortured, and killed. And she's got receipts in here, and it's horrible.
Yep.
This is published in the Orinoco Tribune. I know that it was also published for RT. Shout out to Eva for publishing this, because few people are talking about what HTS is doing to the people that are not friendly to that, or that they're not friendly to. And what we're starting to see is what happened at the beginning of Ukraine. People getting duct taped to telephone poles and stuff with their pants down.
Yep.
Awful. Like, disgusting. And she's got that in there.
This is indeed a disturbing universe.
It is. Now, you sent me this earlier in the week.
Eva.
I believe, yes, that is Eva. Whitney Webb, we all know who she is, Queen Whitney. She noticed something that Pete Hegseth said with the helicopter crash that happened this week, that they were working on a continuity of government training mission. Huh, that's weird. So she says, here's a primer on what top national security officials mean when they say continuity of government. And I didn't link to it, but I'm going to link to it now. This is a 5-year-old article where she talked about COG. And that it doesn't necessarily have to be like the death of certain political people that force a continuity of government plan. It can even be triggered by popular, nonviolent opposition to a war abroad, an unpopular war. that it exists solely to keep the current system in place regardless of the cost. So I'll link this too. I thought this was fascinating that she linked it and thought it was important to discuss what continuity of government really means and the kind of exercises that they pull. So that's Whitney. Next, I brought an article from Common Dreams. Again, not going to go through the whole thing, but this is a newer person who's writing for them. Quote, the oligarchy is thrilled because Trump removed NLRB general counsel and Democratic board member. All right, Jennifer Abruzzo. So the NLRB did do some somewhat decent things, as did Lena Khan over at the FTC in stopping certain mergers from happening. And I just thought it interesting. Again, read more about it. They've got TDS over there for sure. So look at it with that lens. But by all means, that's not good for workers. And they're going to be stripping a lot of the stuff that the Biden administration did to protect workers because they don't give a shit about workers here. The only other one I did want to talk about, speaking of workers, and I haven't really heard anybody talk about this either. Portland, Oregon, Providence Health Services healthcare workers are entering the third week of the nation's largest nurses' strike in Oregon history. Not nation, but Oregon. Nearly 5,000 nurses, physicians, clinicians, midwives, and other medical professionals from 8 Portland area hospitals are demanding decent healthcare benefits, safe staffing, competitive wages, and the hiring of more caregivers. Yeah, IAPNW, let's go. Yeah, that's right. Providence pays some of the lowest wages, and its workers have among the worst healthcare benefits in the region. When sick, nurses are forced to use their vacation days, stay home without pay, or come to work sick because Providence doesn't provide sick time. This is a union.
Of
nurses.
Of nurses, right.
Who are around sick people all the time. Yeah, you're going to get sick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Surveys conducted by Oregon Nurses Association showed that more than 90% of patients reported a negative experience with Providence, while 92% support union nurses and doctors striking to improve care. Not surprising. Right, so check that one out. All right, and the only other thing I really had was my Gen X girl conversation, which was awesome. I had a great time talking with her. I look forward to doing it again soon. She was a natural. She talked a little bit about Ukraine and how the propaganda that was coming out of Ukraine with regards to the SMO kind of piqued her interest into writing and doing some reporting and questioning the narratives. And it brought her around. And then October 7th happened, and she's been focused on the APAC tracker, and she makes excellent visuals. So by all means, watch this, listen to this, and go follow at Gen X Girl 1994 on Twitter, as well as here on coming to a Substack near you. Though she doesn't publish here much anymore, it seems. All right. You know what? I'm out. I did it in an hour 10. Like, wow.
Yep.
Holy crap. You got to watch that episode, didn't see that whole thing? Oh, good. Well, yeah, it's there on Substack or ad-free, or you can watch it on YouTube, especially if you got premium, if you pay for premium to kill the ads. It's an hour and 20 minutes. Good conversation. And subscribe to INN Newsletter, subscribe to Indie Media Today. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. And we're going to be...
When do you want to be back for boats? Like, what, 11...
11:30?
15? 11:30?
11:30.
Something like that. Yep.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool.
This was a shorty. Not terrible. Thanks everyone for hanging out.
Let me leave the link in chat for people. Hold on.
Oh yeah. We're gonna be on the Ocho on both Rumble and YouTube. So check that out.
Copy link. Here, control click this, everyone.
And go subscribe.
I should put it in the description, I guess.
I'm gonna put it in the chat to all the platforms, even though nobody ever chats on Kick.
Goes to the other ones.
Or Rumble for whatever reason.
All right, fam. We're out of here.
Labels are bad.
We're doing the things.
Support independent media.
Yep,
we need it more than ever. Love you all.
Keep listening to what little birds have to tell you, fam. Good night.
I think I liked it better being blind when I couldn't read between the lines.
We just fucking lost the stream.
When I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen.
What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party.